Hey, what's up everybody? Ben here from blogwithben.com, and today I've got a really exciting video for you. We're diving into the world of AI with an in-depth tutorial on how to use Leonardo AI, one of the most intuitive and powerful AI platforms out there. Whether you're a creative looking to enhance your projects, a developer eager to integrate AI into your apps, or just a curious blogger wondering about the capabilities of artificial intelligence, you're in the right place. Because in this video, I'll walk you through the basics of Leonardo, from setting up your account to navigating your dashboard. We'll definitely create some beautiful artwork, and we'll even explore some advanced features that can help you unlock the full potential of this incredible tool. And real quick, before we get started, if you get any value out of this video, I would greatly appreciate it if you would subscribe to the Blog with Ben YouTube channel. It helps me bring you more resources, and it keeps you up to date with all the AI and tech trends happening throughout the year. But either way, thank you so much for all your support. All right, with that being said, let's get started. So getting started with Leonardo is super easy and free. Simply visit their homepage, leonardo.ai. I've linked to it in the video description below, and click the Create an Account button. Then you have a couple options here. You can click the sign up link and then sign up with a new account. You'll enter your email address and create a password, and then you'll go through some quick additional steps to create your account. Or you could sign up via your Apple, Google, or Microsoft accounts. That's what I'm going to do, so I'll click the Google option, and then I'll select the Google account that I want to sign in with. And in a few moments, you'll be taken to your new Leonardo account homepage. This is like home base for getting started, and it may look like a lot at first, but trust me, once you get familiar with where everything is, you'll be a pro in no time. Now, the first thing I want to point out is that yes, Leonardo is a free service, but they also have a premium tier that you could access for a monthly subscription. And we'll use both in this tutorial so that you can see the difference, but the free version starts you out with 150 daily tokens, which you can monitor here in the upper left corner of the screen. They refill every 24 hours, and the amount of tokens it costs to use features within Leonardo will vary depending on what you're trying to do, as you'll see in a few moments. Now, if you need more tokens, you can always upgrade to a paid subscription by clicking the upgrade button in the upper left corner. And you'll be presented with the different subscription tiers. Now, you'll obviously get more tokens and access to additional features with these plans, but the quality of the images that you're able to generate with the paid plans is drastically much better than the free version of Leonardo. So if you have the budget for it, I highly recommend purchasing a subscription. Okay, back at the account home interface, let me give you a quick tour and show you around before we start creating images, just so you can get a feel for where everything is. Now, I should point out that I'm currently recording this tutorial on November of 2023, so depending on when you're watching this, some things within the interface may be different on your end, especially with how fast the AI industry is moving. But either way, let's get familiar with the interface before we create our images. So if you look towards the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see the sidebar menu. This is how you'll navigate Leonardo, and is where you could do things like access your personal and community feeds, create AI-generated images, use the AI canvas, and much more. And we're going to spend most of our time in the user tools for this tutorial, but when you have some extra time, I recommend clicking around and checking things out. Moving towards the right-hand side of the screen, we have the featured models and recent creations. The featured models highlights various image generation models, and we'll use some of these in just a moment, but the models are basically advanced algorithms that have been taught a bunch of different art styles and techniques, so they really understand how to make your work look like it was generated by different types of artists. Then below that, we have the recent creations. And these are AI-generated images that are made by other users within the Leonardo community. This feed is constantly updated with user creations, and you can filter them by trending, new, and top images. You can also click on each image to get more info and even copy the prompt that they used, which we'll do a little later on. Then, if you ever need some extra help or have questions, Leonardo has some great resources to get you moving. First, if you look in the left sidebar, they have an FAQ and help guide. And clicking that menu item will open that guide where you can explore their step-by-step tutorials. And I used this quite a bit when I was just starting out, and it was super helpful. Then if you return to the home page by clicking the Home menu item in the left sidebar, keep your eye out for these little question mark icons like this one at the top of the screen next to the featured models. You can click on them, and depending on their location within Leonardo, they'll open up additional help and onboarding guides for that particular section. So this one was on our account home, and as you can see, it has some getting started guides that you can access, giving you even more detailed info to help get acclimated to the platform. Next, if you look in the bottom right corner of the screen, they have a chat feature, and clicking on that will give you the ability to chat with one of their team members. This is useful if you have a specific question. You can also search their help docs in that search field or access their help guides by clicking on any of these tabs. And this will open up another window where you can view the help documentation and tutorial in full. Super cool. All right, then finally, they have an amazing Discord community. Now, we're not going to sign up for it in this tutorial, but you can access it here in the bottom left corner of the screen. Again, this is a great place to stay up to date on the platform's updates, sharing ideas, and even converse with other users. It's a great community, and if you have Discord, I highly recommend signing up. It's free too. Okay, I know that was kind of a quick overview, but hopefully you have a better feel for where things are. Next, let's explore the AI text-to-image generation and start creating images with Leonardo AI. In this portion of the tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use Leonardo's AI text-to-image generation tool. First, we'll go over the free version, and then I'll show you the paid version so that you can see the differences between the two. Alright, so anytime you want to generate an image from your account homepage, within the left sidebar under the User Tools section, click on AI Image Generation. And this will bring you to the text-to-image AI image generation interface. Now, regardless of what version of Leonardo you're using, the interface will basically remain the same. You'll just have access to more features with the paid version. But either way, let me give you a quick tour of this interface before we start creating images. So, starting at the top, we have the field for your text prompt. This is where you'll type your prompt telling the AI what to create. Now, we could do a whole other video on what makes a good prompt, but what I've found is that less is more, meaning you don't need to write a whole paragraph every time describing what you want. I try to keep things concise, less than 200 characters, but I use descriptive words like peaceful, vivid, breathtaking, etc., things like that. And as you get more practice with writing prompts, you'll start to get a feel for what works best for you. But either way, this field is where you enter your prompt. Also, if you look at the generate button towards the right there, that's what you click to generate the image after you've entered the prompt. But it also lets you know how many tokens each generation is costing you. You can also monitor your total token usage in the upper left corner of the screen as well. Then to the left of the text field is an icon of some dice, and this is the prompt assist, and clicking on this will give you the option to have Leonardo create a completely random prompt for you, or it will help you improve your current prompt. It's a pretty neat feature. Then below that we have some parameters and settings that you can tweak to change the overall style of your prompt. Starting on the left, there's the model selector. This lets you change the model being used to create the image. Next to that are some additional styles to choose from, and clicking that drop-down will let you change the style of your image. Then you have the ability to add elements to your prompt as well. And this gives you even more options in terms of the overall style being used. These are like additional models that you can add on top of your images. And we'll add some elements in just a bit. Then next to that is the add negative prompt switch. And turning this on will give you the ability to remove unwanted things from your generated images. And we'll use this feature as well when we generate our images in just a few moments. Okay, moving on to the settings and parameters sidebar on the left-hand side of the screen. This is where you can get even more granular with your images and change the number of images generated, configure the pipelines used, change image dimensions, set the guidance scale, set the tiling, and even some advanced features towards the bottom there. Now, I'm not going to do a deep dive on these because that would take up another half hour to 15 minutes, and I don't want to overwhelm you, but there are these little question mark icons next to each section of the sidebar menu that you can hover your mouse over to get a better explanation of what each setting does. Now, real quick, I do want to point out the pipelines, and without getting into the weeds, pipelines are like additional models that you can turn on and off with these switches. And these pipelines give you even more control and flexibility with your image generations. When we enter our prompt in just a moment, you'll see the other pipelines show up here in the sidebar. And I encourage you to experiment with the different pipelines as you begin creating your images. Then the last thing are these 3 tabs. Generation history will display your images that you generate in a feed format. You'll see it in just a bit. Then there's the image guidance. This lets you upload images to tell the AI what you want the image to look like. Super cool feature that we'll use a little later on. And then the prompt generation. This is like your own personal AI prompt assistant that will help you come up with prompts if you're having writer's block. And we'll use this in a few minutes as well. So that's the text to image interface. Hopefully you have a better idea of where things are and what they do. But now let's have some fun and enter a prompt so that we could start creating some AI text to image artwork. Okay, so in the prompt field towards the top of the screen there, I'm going to type my first prompt. And for this example, I'm going to create an image of an old Hollywood style portrait of a woman, black and white, mid-30s, serious expression, detailed film noir. And then since this is my very first prompt, when I click the generate button, I'll be asked to finish setting up my Leonardo profile before generating images. So let me do that really quick. And I believe this is due to me initially signing up with my Google account. All they want is a username, and then they'll ask a few onboarding questions. And there we go. Then you'll notice now that I've created my account, it's reverted to the free version of Leonardo, so we don't have access to the photo real or alchemy pipelines. At least I didn't whenever I was using this free version of Leonardo. However, some things may have changed if you're watching this video in the future, so please keep that in mind. And it only costs 4 tokens instead of 20 tokens to generate an image. But either way, let's send this prompt through and generate our images. So click the generate button, and Leonardo gets to work, and the images will load and display below in the generation history field. Now, depending on what settings and parameters you have implemented, the time it takes to generate these images will vary, but this prompt was pretty basic, so it was super fast. And check that out, we now have 4 AI generated images. And keep in mind that this is essentially the most basic version of Leonardo without using any of the various pipelines, styles, or elements. However, the results are still really good, and these assets could definitely be used for various projects and whatnot. Now, I only chose to have the AI generate 4 images, but again, you can determine the amount of images it gives you here in the left sidebar. And keep in mind that the more images you choose to create, the more tokens it will cost you. All right, once you have your images, you can click on them to get a better look at the results. Then if you look at the bottom of the image, you'll see a toolbar with some icons. And then taking a closer look at these icons, starting on the left, the first one is where you can delete the image if you want to. Next, you can download it to your computer. Then you can copy it to your clipboard. Then there's the unzoom feature, and this essentially generates another image but zooms out, giving you a different perspective, so to speak. It costs tokens to do this, just FYI. Then you can remove the background. Again, this costs tokens to implement as well. Next is the creative upscale. This allows you to refine the image's quality, but this is only available to paid subscribers. However, the free plans can use the upscale image alternate. Free plans can also use the HD Smoother upscaler, as well as the HD Crisp upscaler right next to it. But again, these cost additional tokens to use. And finally, there is the Alchemy Refiner. This is only for paid subscribers, but this is touted as being able to unlock a higher level of quality in your creations with their brand new Alchemy Refiner. They say it gives you richer detail and impeccable cleanup like never before. And I'll show you the difference in quality and features with the paid Alchemy version in just a bit. But next, let's experiment with some different models. So as we briefly covered at the beginning of the tutorial, one of the main features of Leonardo is their models. And this gives you a ton of creative control and flexibility over what your images look like. and you can change the model being used right here in the image generator. So right below the prompt field, if you click this drop down, you'll be presented with the various models to choose from. Now again, I'm using the free version of Leonardo at the moment, so I won't have access to all of the models, but let's try the 3D animation style model. So I'll select that one. Then next to that are the additional styles. Again, this is the free version, so we only have access to the default Leonardo style, but with the paid plans, you'll get more style options here. Then we have the elements, and clicking the Add Elements button will give you the ability to add up to 4 additional elements to your images. And these are like additional models that can enhance the style of your generations. Now for this example, I'm only going to add 1 element, but feel free to experiment with the different elements to see how it can change your images. Okay, so I'm going to go with the ebony and gold element, and then click the Confirm button to add it. And then once you do, you'll see that you can even adjust the weight of the element here within this little widget. This is like how strong the aspects of the ebony and gold are added to your images. Then I'm not going to enable any pipelines at the moment, but if you have a free plan, you could use the Prompt Magic pipeline by flipping that switch on next to where it says Prompt Magic within the sidebar. Again, feel free to test it out. It can enhance the output of your prompts, but we'll use the pipelines with the paid plan in just a bit. Okay, so I'm going to leave all the other settings as is, and then let's generate a new set of images using the new model and element. So click the Generate button, and the AI gets to work. Now, this one may take a little longer than the first set, so just give it a couple seconds to do its thing and sit tight really quick. And voila, check that out. We definitely have a 3D animation image with the black and gold element, but more importantly, it's refined the prompt to adhere to the new settings. How cool is that? Then let's click on one of the images to take a closer look at it. And I'm really liking these results. The detail and quality are really nice for the free version of Leonardo. Now, let's say you don't want earrings in the photo. Well, that's when the Add Negative Prompt feature can come into play. Simply flip that switch on, and then in the field provided, type the keyword or keywords of the things you don't want to appear in your images. And for this example, let's say that we don't want her to wear any earrings. So I'll type the word earrings in that field, and then we'll regenerate that prompt. So I'll click the Generate button again, and the AI will get to work. And keep in mind that this costs additional tokens each time you regenerate images. Then we'll give it a few more seconds to do its thing. And there we go. Check that out, no earrings. So instead of having to take these images through Photoshop to do some editing to remove the earrings, I can just tell Leonardo to remove them with the Add Negative Prompt tool, and boom, no earrings. Now, the images of the character are different than our original prompts, but this Add Negative Prompt feature is still very powerful when it comes to controlling the output for your images and prompts. Okay, there are 2 more features I want to quickly go over before we move on to the paid version of Leonardo, and that's the image guidance and prompt generation features. They're located right above your generation history field, and clicking on them will give you access where you can begin using them. So first, let's take a look at the image guidance. And by default, it's turned off, but if you flip this switch to turn it on, you'll have the ability to use one source image to guide your prompts. This image guidance feature detects the color pattern and the overall entire look of an input image and will use that to guide your image generations. Now, as I mentioned, the free version only gives you one source image to upload and use, but if you upgrade to a paid plan, you can add up to 4 layers of image guidance for your prompt. Okay, so the idea here is that you upload an image, and then Leonardo uses that as a guide to generate additional AI images. You have some settings here that you can tweak, like the type. By default, it's set to image, but you have a list of different types of guidance that you can implement here. Pretty cool. Then you could also set the strength of the guidance with either one of these little widgets. Just move the lever left or right. Higher values stick closer to the image, and lower values allow more creative interpretation from the AI. All right, let's go through a quick example to show you how this works. So let's say I really like this stock photo of a sea turtle and I want to create an AI version of it. I could try and get close by using a basic text prompt, but with the image guidance, we can pretty much duplicate this image, but it's an AI version of this image. So let's go back to Leonardo. I've downloaded the sea turtle image to my computer, and then all you'll do here is upload it to the image guidance as the source image by clicking this icon, and then find the image you want to use. There we go. Then pay attention to this little warning icon. It's basically telling you that the current aspect ratio is off, and that could affect the result. So click this little square icon to reset it, and it'll set it to a more suitable ratio. Then feel free to play around with the model and elements if you'd like. I'm going to remove the ebony and gold element. So just click that little X next to the widget there, and that will remove it. And then I'll turn off the add negative prompt feature. So simply flip that little switch off like so. And then let's change the model being used for this prompt. And this time let's use the Absolute Reality version 1.6 model. Then don't forget to enter your prompt, and I've found that if you just describe what's in the source image, the AI will do a pretty good job at detecting it. So I'm going to say sea turtle swimming in the ocean for this prompt. It's pretty basic, but let's see how close it gets. And then go ahead and click the generate button. And that was fast, it's already done. So to view the newly generated image, click the Generation History tab to see the results. And wow, how cool is that? The AI basically replicated the original source image, which was a quote unquote real image taken with a camera, and the results here are pretty amazing. As you can see, when we put them side by side, the real photo on the left and our AI generated image on the right, Leonardo's image guidance did a fantastic job at sticking to the source image for its AI generation, which is the image on the right. Again, this is a great feature if you want to create an AI version of another image, but please keep in mind Leonardo's terms of use when using this feature. You obviously don't want to use it and commit copyright infringement or anything unethical. Okay, the last feature I want to go over before moving on to the paid version of Leonardo is prompt generation. And this tool will give you the ability to come up with more complex prompt ideas from a sample word or phrase. It's basically like your own personal AI prompt assistant. Now, before you use it, be sure to turn off the image guidance feature, and you can do that by clicking the X on that little widget. Then click on the Prompt Generation tab. And from here, you can enter a keyword or phrase, and Leonardo will build off of that and give you some examples of prompts to use. So first select how many images you want to generate, and I'm going to stick with 4. Then in the field, type the word or phrase you're thinking of, and I'm going to type fighter jet. Then click the Ideate button, and in a few seconds, you'll have 4 suggestions of prompts to use for your next image generations. Then you can even edit them here by clicking that little arrow icon, and you'll be able to tweak each prompt as you see fit. Then I'm not changing the model settings or adding any elements to this prompt, but you can do that if you'd like. Then when you're ready to generate, simply click the generate button next to the prompt that you want to use. And in a few moments, you'll have some new images. This is a great tool if you're running into some writer's block when trying to come up with prompts or need some extra inspiration. Then the final thing I want to show you before we move on is how to delete your images. So if you ever want to get rid of your generations for some reason, you can do that by clicking this little 3-dot icon next to the row that you want to delete, and then select delete from the drop-down. You'll then get this other warning asking you if you're sure you want to delete them, and clicking that red delete button will completely remove the images from your personal feed and Leonardo altogether. And keep in mind that these images are impossible to recover after deleting them. Alright, now that you've gotten a good overview of the free version of Leonardo, let's switch to the paid version so that you can see the difference in quality and features available. Remember, you can upgrade at any time by clicking the upgrade button next to your token count in the upper left corner of the screen. In this portion of the tutorial, we're going to be using the premium version of Leonardo. This is using a paid subscription, and you'll notice that nothing has changed in terms of the interface, but I do have more daily tokens, as well as access to all of the pipelines, models, styles, and upscaling features. Plus, the quality of the images is much better in my opinion. So, keeping with the same prompt, an old Hollywood style portrait of a woman, black and white, mid-30s, yada yada yada. But this time, let's change the model being used to the Leonardo Diffusion XL. So open the model selector and select Leonardo Diffusion XL. This is their newest and most powerful model, as you'll see in a few seconds. Then let's also turn on the photo reel pipeline. So flip that switch. And as you do, a couple of things to point out. It requires the Alchemy pipeline in order to work. So when you flip that switch on, it turns on the Alchemy pipeline as well. It also removes the Prompt Magic pipeline. I'm not sure why, but it may have something to do with how they work with one another. But either way, when you turn the photo reel off, you'll have access to the Prompt Magic pipeline again. Then you'll also notice that when you turn on the photo reel pipeline, you can't change the model while it's on. So if you want to use a different model, you'll need to turn photo reel off and then choose your different model and then turn it back on, just FYI. Then I'm leaving the style set to cinematic, but if you click that drop down, you'll have access to various styles to choose from. And then I'm not adding any elements, but they're the same as the free plan. Okay, next within the advanced controls in the left sidebar, I'm going to change the aspect ratio from 3:2 to 16:9. This will give me more of a landscape sized image and will also increase the dimensions as well. All right, this prompt is ready to go. So let's click the generate button. And you'll notice that this time it costs 22 tokens instead of 4. And that's because we're using more features and pipelines, which requires more of Leonardo's GPUs. But because I have the paid plan, I have more tokens, so it kind of evens out. And these generations will take a bit longer due to that, just FYI. So we'll sit tight while it does its thing. And it actually took another 15 to 20 seconds to generate. So I'm going to fast forward really quick to save you some time. And look at that. Wow. The detail, depth of field, color, and overall quality is a lot better than our original generations when we were using the free version of Leonardo. As you can see when I put them side by side, that's not to say that the free version is bad, but the overall quality upgrade you get with the paid Leonardo plans is pretty amazing. And this is due to the access you'll get to the additional models, styles, pipelines, and upscalers. And I have to say that I have extensive experience with creating AI images with Midjourney and Adobe Firefly, and the quality that you get with Leonardo, as well as the overall control you have, is a lot better than Midjourney and Firefly. I didn't think I would ever say that, but after using Leonardo for the past few days, I could say that their images are clearer, they look more real, and the interface is much more user-friendly. Either way, these images are great. Okay, next, let's experiment with a completely different model and prompt. So remember, in order to change models, we'll need to turn off the photo reel pipeline. So flip that switch off. Then from the model dropdown, we now have access to all of the models, which is nice. And if you click the Select Other Model menu item at the bottom of the dropdown, you'll have access to all of the other models and can get a better idea of what each one does. And as you can see, there's quite an extensive library of models to choose from. I've honestly only used a couple, so I've really just scratched the surface, but from what I've used so far, the results have been awesome. Okay, so for this next example, let's use the cute animal characters model. And when you click on it, you'll get a more detailed overview of what it does, as well as some examples from other users in the community who have used this model to create an image. And I love this for a few reasons. You get some detailed info on how the model was used to create an image, and you could start using the model by clicking the Generate with this model button. But if you look below, you'll see some related images where Leonardo displays other user-generated prompts that use this model. And if you click on one of the community examples, like this little raccoon, you'll get to see how it was created as well as copy the prompt so that you could use it and build off of it in your images. And all you have to do is click the copy prompt button. There we go. Then click the generate with this model button. And then I'm leaving the style as dynamic, but again, you can switch up the style here if you'd like. And as you can see, the paid plan of Leonardo gives you a lot more styles to choose from. I'm also not adding any elements, but feel free to add elements as well. Then I'm also leaving the aspect ratio set to 3:2, and all the other settings I'm going to leave in place. But again, feel free to tweak and change things as you see fit. Okay, let's generate our raccoon. So don't forget to paste the prompt that we just copied within the text field. And then click the generate button. And then we'll give it a few seconds to work. And for the sake of time, I'm going to speed through this. So we'll fast forward really quick. And check that out. We now have our own version of the raccoon prompt using the cute animal characters model. I love it. It kind of reminds me of Rocket the Raccoon from Guardians of the Galaxy, but either way, this example shows you the capabilities of the different models and how uniquely different they are from one another in a good way. This encourages creativity and can really generate some beautiful images. And speaking of that, if we fast forward a bit, you'll see the diversity of the prompts that I've been testing. Leonardo gives you a ton of creative control, and the output is really impressive. I got some fantastic results using landscape and design prompts. Then there's some product promotion prompts, photo shoots and portraits, the cute animal character, and the old-time vintage style prompt. Again, the addition of the models, pipelines, styles, elements, and upscalers really expands the possibilities and makes Leonardo, in my opinion, one of the best text-to-image generators out there. But we're not done. Next, I want to show you one of Leonardo's best features, in my opinion, and that's the AI canvas. And we'll need to go back to the home dashboard really quick in order to access it. So anytime you want to go back to the home interface, simply click this little arrow icon in the upper left corner, and that will take you back to your home dashboard. All right, let's move on and check out the magic of the AI canvas. In this portion of the tutorial, I'm going to walk you through the process of using Leonardo's AI Canvas, which is a powerful tool that empowers you to create, edit, and refine your images using cutting-edge AI technology. And with the Canvas editor, you can make intricate adjustments to your images, remove unwanted elements, or even generate new content using in-painting and out-painting techniques. And let me show you what I mean. So, to get started, within your home dashboard on the left sidebar under the User Tools section, click on AI Canvas. And this will bring you to the Canvas interface. And what I love about this is that it has sped up my workflow by 10x. In the past, I would use Midjourney or Adobe Firefly to create my AI-generated images, and then depending on my project, I would import them to Photoshop Beta and make my edits in AI generative fill editions there. However, with Leonardo's AI Canvas, it's all under one roof. And as you'll see in a few moments, the results are pretty amazing. But first, let me give you a quick tour of the interface. So, starting on the left-hand side of the screen, we have a toolbar where you can do things like upload an image and perform in-painting, which is a technique where the AI fills in missing parts of an image or replaces selected areas with new content that blends seamlessly with the surroundings. It's particularly useful for removing blemishes or unwanted objects from photos. It's pretty cool, and I'll show you how it works in just a bit. Plus, the in-painting mode is one of 4 canvas modes available, and this is just scratching the surface, so I'll introduce you to those other modes in a few moments. All right, then below the toolbar are the undo and redo buttons. This lets you undo and redo your changes, obviously, but it really comes in handy whenever you're making edits. Then in the middle is the canvas. This is where your image will be and is where you'll do your digital painting, so to speak. Then toward the bottom of the screen is the prompt field. This is how you'll direct the in-painting AI when making edits. It's very similar to the text-to-image generation, but you're essentially creating prompts to make edits to your image. And you'll see what I mean in just a sec. Then in the upper right corner is the zoom. This lets you zoom in and out of your image as you're working. Then next to that are the keyboard shortcuts, and clicking on that will show you all of the shortcuts to help you be more efficient in your workflow. Then on the right hand side of the screen is what Leonardo refers to as the control panel. And this is the main area where you can access the various tools to fuel your editing efforts. And these include the canvas model. This is where you can select the various new and upgraded models to use, and I'll show you what those are in just a bit. Then there's the canvas mode selector, and this is really cool. It essentially lets you choose what the canvas does. Now we're currently using the in-painting, out-painting mode, but I'll show you the other modes available in a few moments. They really give you a ton of creative freedom and can speed up your workflows. There's also the out-paint and in-paint settings, number of images, image dimensions, render density, guidance scale, and then some advanced settings. And we won't go over all these settings, but I highly recommend experimenting with the control panel when you have some extra time. It's super intuitive once you get used to it, and the results are pretty amazing. So with that being said, let's start using the AI canvas. Okay, so the first step in the process is to upload an image to use. So within the toolbar on the left-hand side of the screen, click on the upload image icon. Then you'll have the option to upload from a computer, from your previous generations, or even from the community. Yes, you can edit images that other users have generated with Leonardo. How cool is that? But for this example, I'm going to use an image that I previously generated. So I'll select from previous generations, and then you get this cool pop-up where you can cycle through all of your images. And let's go with this girl on the bioluminescent beach. Kind of a little mermaid thing going on here, but this will be a good example to use the in-painting feature on. So once you find an image, go ahead and click on it, and then it'll be added to the canvas where you can begin to make your edits. Now, this canvas is extremely flexible and interactive. For example, you can click on the image and position it anywhere on the canvas if needed. It's pretty cool. Then once again, in the upper right corner, you can zoom in and out. There are keyboard shortcuts for this, but this is a quick option if you need to zoom in on your image while you're making edits. And I'll zoom in and out really quick just to give you an idea of how it works. There we go. Next, you're probably noticing the box within the image. This is the selector tool, which you can use here in the toolbar. And this determines the area that the AI will use to generate, and it will only generate within that frame. But you can move it around. Just make sure that the lock icon is unlocked in that upper left corner, and you can unlock and lock it by clicking on it. Then simply click anywhere within the frame, and you can reposition it to pinpoint the section of your image that you want the AI to edit. Then you can go even further and change the size of the selection frame. If you look on the right-hand side of the screen within your control panel, clicking on these image dimensions will change the size of the frame, giving you more flexibility on the amount of area that you can edit within your image. So with that being said, let me show you how to make edits using the AI in painting. So let's say I want to change the color of her eyes. Well, for starters, I'll put the selection frame around her face, which it is. Next, you'll want to use the Draw Mask tool. So click on that paintbrush icon within the toolbar on the left-hand side of the screen. And this will open a brush tool where if you look towards the top of the screen, you can adjust the size of the brush with this little lever. I'm going to be editing her eyes, so I'll shrink it down a bit to make it easier to trace her eyes. There we go. Then it's pretty straightforward from here. Use the brush to basically paint the mask or the area that you want the AI to change. So I want to change the color of her eyes, so I'll put 2 dots over her irises like so. Then within the prompt field, type what you want to see. Again, I want her eyes to be blue, so I'll just type blue eyes and then click the generate button. And keep in mind that generating within the AI canvas tools still costs tokens as well. Then in a few moments, the AI gets to work, and just like the text to image generation, it uses our input to generate the blue eyes, and voila. Our subject has blue eyes, and Leonardo even gives you 4 options to choose from, as you can see here in this little purple toolbar at the bottom of the frame. Then we can cycle through the options to see which one works best by clicking these little arrows. And I think I like the first one best. then you have the option to accept what Leonardo has given you, or you can cancel it altogether and retry if these don't meet your expectations. But I like this one, so we'll click accept, and the generation will be added to the image. Now, if you recall, there are undo and redo buttons that you could use if you change your mind for any reason. Simply click them and you can go back and forth in your workflow. This also lets you see the before and after. Pretty cool. Alright, so that's all the edits we're going to make for now, but you can obviously keep going, and hopefully this has given you some inspiration and expanded your understanding of what this powerful AI canvas can do. Then once you're done, you can download the new and improved image by clicking the download icon within the toolbar on the left-hand side of the screen, and this will allow you to save the image to your computer. Okay, the last thing I want to show you here are the different canvas modes. If you recall, there are 4 different modes that you can access within your control panel on the right-hand side of the screen. We're currently in the in-painting, out-painting mode, but if you click on this button, you'll have access to the other canvas modes. Now, we're not going to go through each mode in this video, but these yet again give you a ton of creative freedom and can speed up your workflows. For example, the sketch to image mode lets you draw a simple sketch with the tool brush and then turn that into an AI generated image. How cool is that? So whenever you have some extra time, I highly recommend experimenting with these other canvas modes. Okay, so that's the AI canvas in a nutshell. Next, there are 2 quick features I want to go over with you before we end this tutorial. I'm not going to go into great detail on them, but I at least want to show them to you before I let you go. So first, let's exit this canvas. So in the upper left corner, click the exit editor arrow, and this will take us back to the home dashboard. And whoa, check that out. Not to get sidetracked, but someone has created an alternate AI generated Star Wars movie poster. That's pretty cool. Remember, any image you create that is set to share publicly, it can show up here in the community feed, where users can click on it and see the prompt and settings that you used to generate it. Now, I've never seen an image like this, so that's why I'm checking it out right now, but this community feed is a wealth of inspiration and ideas if you need them. Okay, moving on. The last 2 things I want to quickly show you are the texture generation user tool. It's currently in alpha, but you can still access it here and use it. And again, I'm not going to go through it in this tutorial, but this texture generation tool creates complicated textures from blended gradients by employing 3D technologies and interactions with OBJ files, similar to JPEGs and PNGs for photos. Simply put, it's a 3D image builder, and I imagine this would be ideal for video game assets and things of that nature. But either way, Leonardo is constantly updating it, so feel free to play around with it whenever you have some extra time. Okay, the last thing I want to show you is the Training in Datasets feature, and you can access it here under the Start Here section in the sidebar. And this is where you can create and train your own models. Just like the models that we use to guide and generate our image in the text-to-image generator, this lets you create your own model and use it for your images. And one really cool thing about this feature is that you can use it to create consistent characters. This can come in handy if you're creating characters for, let's say, a children's book or maybe a graphic novel. The possibilities are vast, and if you want some more info on how to get started, I recommend clicking on the help icon in the bottom right corner of the screen and searching for Training in Datasets. Leonardo has some helpful step-by-step tutorials that show you everything you need to know in order to get started with the Training in Datasets feature to create consistent characters. Again, just one of the many reasons why Leonardo is moving to the top of my list in AI image generators. Alright, that wraps up this tutorial on harnessing the power of Leonardo to unlock your creative potential. We've explored its cutting-edge tools and features, and you've seen just how intuitive and impactful this platform can be. But remember, practice makes perfect, so dive in, experiment, and see what creations you can bring to life. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Blog with Ben YouTube channel for more tutorials like this. If you have any suggestions or want to share your creations, drop a comment below. I'd love to check them out. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. So that's going to do it for this video. If you found it helpful, I'd greatly appreciate it if you would like, comment, share, and subscribe to the Blog with Ben YouTube channel. Also, if you're thinking about starting a blog, you gotta check out my step-by-step tutorials. They'll show you everything you need to know in order to build, grow, and monetize a professional WordPress blog. And as always, your support means a great deal to me and my family, and for that, I thank you. So with that being said, I'll see you in the next video, and thanks for watching.